What's up, you guys? Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Hope you guys had a fantastic Monday. My name is Kyle Kurzhal, and this is our live Q&A for AI and automations. So I like to describe myself as the guy to help you with AI and automations so that way you can help get back your time and grow your business. For anybody who's joining us for the first time this evening, this live Q&A is really meant for anybody who has questions about AI and automation. You could be somebody who's maybe an employee in a current business, or maybe you're a small business owner or investor and you're just trying to get started and figure out how to best optimize your time with tech. Maybe you're somebody who's been doing this for a while, but you are still figuring out your processes and you don't quite have it dialed in yet. Or maybe you're somebody who has a very successful business and is looking for ways to help free up even more time so that way you can grow even faster. Well, if you fall into any of those categories, then this time is meant for you. I'm someone with over 11 years in software engineering. I've been following the trend of AI for the last decade. And so if you have questions, then this is your opportunity to ask them. I've got a link for your questions in the chat on both Facebook and YouTube. I got to check real quick to make sure that everything's coming through on each of these sides. I had to check because Facebook was not live. So now Facebook is live. Again, if you are just joining now for the first time and you have questions about AI, automations to help you get back your time and grow your business, this time is meant for you. Again, I will repeat it. I have been a software engineer for over 11 years now, and I love AI, but you got to figure out when and where to use it, right? So if you have questions, whether you're a small business owner, maybe you're somebody with a very successful business, maybe you're somebody who's already maybe you're just an employee and you're just trying to figure out how do you do your job more efficiently. Wherever you're at in your journey, ask your questions. I want to answer them as best as I can. I have a link there in the description on YouTube and Facebook for you to be able to submit your questions. I see those come in live on my side. And then I'm also trying to do something a little better by watching the comments in the chat on YouTube and Facebook. So I should be able to see those come up here and there. I'll pause to take a look. The only thing is, like, some of these platforms like YouTube, you can only put in so many characters. So if you need something a little bit more lengthy, go click that link, fill out that form, and then you should be able to ask whatever question that you want to ask. Now, if you saw the description of the video, we are, over the last couple weeks, we've been doing something very special, and we are still doing that special thing. We are giving away copies of Alex Hormozi's new book, $100 Million Money Models. So if you want to win a copy, all you have to do, let me get the link here for you guys so that way you can pop this in there and then enter our giveaway. All you have to do is go to this link, fill out the information in the link. Here you go on YouTube. Here you go on Facebook. You go fill out that link. And then at the end of our session, which is going to be in about 30 minutes or so, I'm going to go select a random winner, and I'm going to use one of the tools that I created for my AI in Claude to be able to select that winner. So it's completely randomized. You guys will be able to see that live at the end here. We are giving away up to 5 copies, and each winner will be able to go get $30 off the book. So basically, it's the cost of the whole book. You just have to pay for the shipping. So hopefully that's exciting for you guys. I'm happy to do it. I've been giving away a couple copies, but I want to give away a lot more. We have a lot more to give away. And so I want it to go to somebody who really could use a copy of this book to learn more about different money models for their businesses. Or if you're just somebody who's trying to figure out business and you want to learn about different money models, then that's going to be the book for you. Okay, so I think that kind of kicks us off. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and start with our primary topic for the day. And this is something I've been doing more recently, where we come in with a particular topic to discuss, because maybe not everybody has an immediate question about AI or automation on their mind, but maybe you just kind of want to hear a little bit about some of the things going on, and that might bring up some questions for people. So let's get into today's topic. So for today's topic, we're going to chat a little bit about this new feature that was released by Anthropic for their Claude models. So if you guys are aware, there's these different companies, right? There's OpenAI, there's Google, there's Anthropic, and there are several others out there. They each have their own tools. OpenAI has ChatGPT, Anthropic has Claude, Google has their Gemini products. So there's been this recent release last week, October 16th, of this new feature set in Claude called Skills. And so we're going to talk a little bit about skills today, some of the differences between like a skill and an MCP server, and I'll probably also talk a little bit about what an MCP server is, because I know not everybody knows, right? But these are the types of things that anybody who wants to leverage AI is going to have to learn a little bit about, so that we kind of understand how you can leverage these new AI capabilities to help free up your time. And I really encourage people to think of these as almost like virtual employees working on your behalf on your computer. And so you can kick them off, you can train them, train them in a sense to do certain things that you might need done day to day. And then, you just say, hey, go do the thing. And then it does it for you. And then that frees up your time to go really focus on the things that help light you up, that give you, a lot of energy, and also on the things that are most profitable. So I hope you guys are excited about that. Let's go ahead and get into it. Before I do, I just want to check one more time to see if we've got any kind of questions that have been lined up here that we should get into. Okay, I'm not seeing any. So let's go ahead and get into our topic for the day. All right, so we've got this recent announcement from Anthropic. Again, October 16th is when this was announced, and this says introducing agent skills. So let's learn a little bit about skills. So they say that Claude can now use skills to improve how it performs specific tasks. Skills are folders that include instructions, scripts, and resources that Claude can load when needed. Claude will only access a skill when it's relevant to the task at hand. When used, skills make Claude better at specialized tasks like working with Excel or following your organization's brand guidelines. And then they give us a little video here. We can just click this to see what this looks like. I wish you guys could hear the audio. I'm gonna have to figure out a better way to share that, but it's just music. So they upload a file. It says code execution and file creation. Okay, they're working on an exciting game. Help us with a creative pitch deck. Creating the brand's guidelines skill. Oh no, checking for it. Reading. Creating a pitch deck. Okay, and then it goes through, explains what happened, and then it gives you the link to your, and there you go. Then it actually creates the pitch deck. Okay, and so now we see here a few different concept posters, make them feel magical. I'll create 3 distinct ones. Reading poster design. Okay, looks like it created like a little script, and then it created these little poster designs based on that. And then they're showing off all their different skills here. So that's really interesting. So, I think when I first saw this, my immediate question is, okay, well, this looks cool, but what in the world is this in how is it different from like an MCP server? So, let's briefly cover MCP servers. So an MCP server is essentially a tool that you can run on a separate server, or it could be on your own machine. So I could run it on my laptop, for example. If I wanted to, I could spin up a server and go run it somewhere else. And essentially there's these tools, or you can think of those as like mini programs that do something, and you got to give them a description and things like that. And then you make them available to your LLM, to your agent, or to your chat application, maybe is another way to say that. And so you say, hey, I need you to go run these calculations. Let's say we're talking about real estate, right? Let's say you need to do a quick back of the napkin underwriting of some kind of property. So you might have some kind of calculator that's running as an MCP tool out on your server or on your computer. And then you say to the AI, hey, I need you to go underwrite this for me real quick. Here's some of the information. And then it takes that, it goes and executes the tool. So basically it sends all the data to the tool runs the program, and then it spits you back the information, and then the AI can actually use that for something. And so you can see how this is really useful, because basically it's like you're adding capabilities to your AI. And so you're giving it things that it can actually do in the real world on your behalf. And you can give them a bunch of different things. And so people are starting to create their own MCP servers. There's a bunch of companies out there that are creating MCP servers to their technology. And so then you can leverage integrating your AI with the tools that these companies already provide, like project management software. I use Go High Level. So Go High Level has some MCP servers, so you can connect to certain functionality there too. And then it's really just a rinse and repeat. You add a new MCP server tool to the AI, and then it has a new capability. So that's kind of the gist of it. And so you can, if that makes sense to you, you can kind of understand why when I first heard about this, I was like, okay, how is this different from an MCP server or an MCP tool? Like, what is really the difference here functionally? So let's take a little bit closer look at this and kind of get a sense of what's going on here. So they say you've already seen skills at work in Claude apps, where Claude uses them to create files like spreadsheets and presentations. Now you can build your own skills and use them across Claude apps, Claude Code, and our API. How skills work. While working on tasks, Claude scans available skills to find relevant matches. When one matches, it loads only the minimal information and files needed, keeping Claude fast while accessing specialized expertise. Skills are composable, so the skills stack together, and Claude automatically identifies which skills are needed and coordinates their use. They are portable. They use the same format everywhere. You build once, use across Claude apps, Claude Code, and API. They're efficient. You only load what's needed when it's needed. And they are powerful. Skills include executable code for tasks where traditional programming is more reliable than token generation. So that's actually kind of important. And this is also why, I said back in the day, when I say back in the day, I mean, even really with like a year ago or less than 6 months ago or so, before MCP tools were really becoming a thing. The problem with these AIs is that they could make up stuff, and so it's not good for mathematical calculations or anything that you need to be repeatable over and over again. So this is also important for, I guess, the skills. So they say, think of skills as custom onboarding materials that let you package expertise, making Claude a specialist on what matters most to you. For a technical deep dive on the agent skills design pattern, architecture, and development best practices, read our engineering blog. Okay, so we might get into that. So let's see at a high level what's going on here. So skills work with every Claude product. They're available to basically all of their users, which is awesome. They provide skills for common tasks like document creation, examples you can customize, and the ability to create your own custom skills. Okay, cool. So code execution, you can upload a skill, it looks like. Interesting. Okay, Claude automatically invokes relevant skills based on your task. No manual selection needed. You can even see skills in its chain of thought as it works. So as it's kind of churning through things, you see it pop up like we did in that video. So creating skills is simple. The skill creator still provides interactive guidance. Claude asks about your workflow, generates folder structure, formats the skills file, and bundles the resources that you need. No manual file editing is required. Okay, so this is really cool because it sounds like you can also use Claude to help you create the skills, which is very, very interesting. Now, let me pause here and let me see if we've got any question from anybody here. Anything in our comments okay, I'm not seeing anything in our comments. So if you do have questions, please drop those questions in the comments. You can also use the link that I have to my form if you've got a more in-depth question. And also don't forget, while we're here, that we're doing our live giveaway at the end. So if you want to sign up for that giveaway, use that giveaway link that I have put into the chat as well. Okay, now it sounds like these skills are driven by text files. And so you can see here, let's look at this video here. Okay, help me create an image editor skill. Okay, reading skill documentation. Can you give me examples? Okay, support rotation and cropping. Update the skills MD. That's a file that has text, basically, that just kind of describes. It's kind of like an HTML. Okay, let's use that new image editor skill. They uploaded a photo. And then it goes through and actually does the thing. Okay, that's cool. So it looks like it did multiple things there. So first of all, it generated the text file that explains the skill and how it should be used. And then it also generated the code. So this is a mix. This is going to include a mix of the descriptions, outlining kind of how to use it, and then the code itself that can be executed. Let's see what else it says. So you can enable skills in your settings. Okay, agent skills, which they refer to as skills, can now be added to the messages API. So that's just some API stuff. Claude Code. Skills extend Claude Code with your team's expertise. Okay, you can install skills via plugins. And so we should talk about that in a second as well. From the marketplace, Claude loads them whenever relevant. Share skills with version control through your team. Okay, what's next? Okay, so I think that kind of gives a nice little overview. Let's see if we can glean anything else here. So this is the engineering specific publication that they made. So this kind of explains like a little bit about how these things work, kind of how things are segmented off. So it looks like it's running like this agent virtual machine here. It's got like programming languages here that it can run. The contents of your skill directories live inside of this virtual machine. And so you can see like you've got the skill information, right? These files, you can see the programming file here. Like there's different skills in these buckets. So it uses the computer. You can see the equipped skills, and then you can see the equipped MCP servers. Let's take a look through this. Okay, so this is what kind of a skill file is going to look like. So you're going to have this format. This is going to give you just some generic, this like top piece here is going to be some like generic information describing like what this skill is, what it does in general. And then down below it, you're going to have a lot more information about that kind of guides you on, or guides the AI on what this is for, then how to use it. Like it shows down here how you can actually use some of the code that comes packaged with it. So it says, as skills grow in complexity, they may contain too much context to fit into a single file. Or it has context that's relevant only in specific scenarios. In these cases, skills can be bundled with additional files within the skill directly and reference them by name from skill. So it sounds like you can reference, like it's almost like if you have a general skill, let's say like the skill is to read, I don't know, I need to think of a good example here. Let's say a skill is to send an email. Well, you might have several sub skills. One is, well, how do you write email content to actually like meet your company's guidelines on professional writing or something like that. Or, you know, maybe it's something like, oh, well, how do you respond to customer service requests or something like that? And so that provides like the email writing guidelines. And then you might have another skill that explains, okay, well, now how do you format that thing? And then you might have another skill that explains, well, how do you actually send the email? And so each of those might be like sub skills that kind of make up this big like send email response skill. So they kind of show that off here. So like here's your main skill file, and then it's referencing these sub files here, which is a very interesting way to do it. And they kind of just show like how much data you're saving by kind of doing it this way. So there's the metadata at the top, this top piece here, then the body, which is this, and then the bundled files, including like scripts and data or anything else like that. So they say that agents with a file system code execution don't need to read the entirety of a skill into their context window. So a context window is just like the total amount of things that you have in your chat window. So over time, if you guys have played with these agent tools enough, you know that at some point they kind of forget what has already been said previously. And that's because the text, eventually you had so much text that it went outside of the context window and it just completely forgot like what you were talking about. And so this is a big problem with AI right now, is because you can only have so much context at a given time, and part of that is just limited to, some of it's the software, how it's written, but some of it is actually just the hardware. Like you actually have to have these machines with giant amounts of memory, and there's limited amounts of that, right? And then it's got to all coordinate. So a lot of these clusters for these AI are using like multiple GPUs to be able to run. And so it becomes a very challenging problem to manage what information is in that context window. So when working on a particular task, okay, this means that that the amount of context that can be bundled into a skill is effectively unbounded. So basically they're saying that by loading in just little bits of information at a time, it's almost like, let's say you're an employee at a company, right? And you've got all these processes and guidelines and things like that you've documented. Well, I mean, are you going to really remember every single last one if you've got hundreds of these processes? Probably not. But if you have them well documented, you can go look them up on the fly as long as you can figure out where they're at and kind of have a sense of how things are generally supposed to work. So that's kind of the idea here too. You apply this to a computer and they're able to incrementally just go get the information that they need. So they say that the following diagram shows how context window changes when a skill is triggered. So, so user fill out this PDF based on what you know about me. Certainly, I'll use the PDF skill. It decides to trigger the skill by reading it. It uses this tool. Then we get a result from that tool. Then Claude decides to follow the references from skill MD. Okay. So skills and code execution. Okay, can include code to execute at its discretion. Large language models excel at many tasks, but certain operations are better for traditional code. We've talked about that. So the PDF skill includes a pre-written Python script that reads a PDF and extracts all form fields. Okay. Let's see. Anything else here? Anything else that we should call out? Security considerations when using Claude. Okay, so I think that kind of gives me a good sense of what these skills are. It looks like I missed this part here. They said in the coming weeks we'll continue to add features, and then they say we're especially excited about the opportunity for it to help organizations and share their context and workflows with Claude. We'll also explore how skills can complement model context protocol servers by teaching agents more complex workflows that involve external tools and software. So this is very interesting. And they're looking to enable them to create, edit, and evaluate skills on their own, letting them codify their own patterns of behavior. So basically building skills for themselves. I mean, they're kind of already able to do that. It sounds like sounds like they might be looking to automate that whole process from end to end. So that's really powerful. It's really powerful when you think about the fact that AI might be able to start building out its own tools and then like just immediately adding those tools to its tool set. So let's talk a little bit about now how I think that this idea, these skills, differs from an MCP server, because we talked a little bit about MCP servers before. Before I do that, I want to give everybody a chance to get their questions answered. So do we have any questions here about anything that we've read or anything? It may not even be related to the stuff that we covered. Maybe it's just a question that you have about AI and how to use it in your business or you're investing. Maybe you've got something you're running into. This live Q&A is meant for you to be able to ask questions about any of those things from a tech guy. So please drop those questions either in the chat or drop them in the form that I have linked. Okay, I'm not seeing anything here. All right. Well, if you have a question, drop your questions in. I'm just going to go on and explain some of my thoughts here. So, okay, so let's very briefly touch the MCP server again. So MCP servers or MCP tools essentially allow AI to call pre-written programs as like tools. And so you give them these tools and then they can go crunch the numbers or actually interact with some kind of service that you have in a really reliable way. And this could be like project management tools. This could be like CRMs. Maybe these are custom built calculators that you've created, anything like that that needs to be reliable or integrate with some kind of service. That's what MCP servers are. That's what MCP tools are. So a lot of people have been using them on even running some of these tools on their computer directly. So they'll maybe write some code for their own MCP server, and then they'll run that either on their laptop, like on my laptop I've got in front of me, or on a server somewhere else, and then they hook it up to their AI, and the AI can then do some other things outside of just generating some text. So with the skills, it sounds like the skills in some ways simplify the process. I think that's one thing that kind of stands out to me, is you end up with the skills being able to give a little bit more direction, and it's a bit simpler, I think, for most people to be able to set up. So you don't have to know how to code to be able to write a skills file. You could just learn how to write in the markdown text format, or you could probably write, honestly, you could probably write it in any kind of document. Like you could probably go write it in like a Google Doc or something like that. And then you could have Claude even help you take that Google Doc and then turn it into the proper format for the skill. So that's really cool, because that means that you're going to be able to just write out the instructions, almost like an SOP for that you would write for your business. You know, you would write an SOP for your employees, so they kind of understand how to function inside of your business, what things they should do when they encounter certain scenarios. And so you could do a very similar thing here for Claude, which is really, really neat. That also implies that if you have existing SOPs, you could probably you could probably use those as like a starting point to onboard new skills for the Claude AI, which means that you don't have to rewrite everything from scratch, which is really, really handy. So that is really cool. I think that is probably one of the most useful things that immediately stands out to me. The other thing that kind of stands out to me that differentiates this is it sounds like aside from being able to write out everything in this text format, almost as like an SOP or something like that, it can also like execute code, which is what people have been using the MCP servers and MCP tools for. So you don't have to learn how to set that up, which is massive. Like you basically just have to have the code file and include that and bundle it together with your text file explaining how to use that tool. And that makes a lot of sense. I feel like intuitively that just is more straightforward, and the setup is way easier for most people. So it also, based on what they kind of showed here, it sounds like it's pretty easy even just have Claude help you write the code itself. So I mean, not only can it help you write the text for describing this skill, but it can also help write the code that executes to make that skill useful. Now, I think most people are going to run into a little bit of a limitation, and you would run into this with the MCP tools too, if you don't have a coding background. But you could more easily have it write something, and then if it's not working the way you think it should, you can tell it and work with it to adjust the code, and then you can try it again much faster. So I think the turnaround time there is really, really, really good. And then the last thing there, which is kind of interesting that they called out, is this idea that the AI is going to be able to load in just the information that it needs when it needs it. And so this is one of the problems right now, actually, with like the MCP tools, is that right now, to use those MCP tools effectively, you give them descriptions and things like that, and so the AI can leverage those. But when you start like lining up a bunch of these MCP tools, when you spin up the AI, the process is the AI turns on, then it has to reach out to the servers and then get all of the information about all the different tools that you have. And then it sends all of that back, and then the AI has to keep that inside of its context window. And we talked a little bit about that context window. Like that's the chat, right? Like when you're chatting, your stuff that you type in and the responses from the agent, they stay in that context window, and there is a maximum limit. And every model is a little different on what it can handle. So if you have all these MCP tools, you're sacrificing however much of that context window you need to be able to make sure that the AI actually understands and remembers what it can actually do outside of your system. So that can be really tough. And if you need like an AI that can go and do lots of different things, it means that you're gonna have to be very careful about crafting almost like this hierarchy of AI employees and agents that are gonna go in, and they're each gonna have just this smaller subset of skills or MCP tools that it has access to. And then you're still gonna have to, on top of the tools, you're gonna still have to provide it like all these system prompts, all these prompts essentially that are going to help give it guidance on what your processes are and how it should kind of use the tools and when it should use the tools and all this stuff. So that's another good point. So, I mean, you would have to do that. I mean, so the skills, you're doing that with the skills text file. And you would have to put that into the context of the MCP, of the AI anyways, in some way, if you're using MCP tools. So with the MCP tools, you're going to have to very carefully manage, be very careful and thoughtful about managing your context and making sure you don't overload it too much, because otherwise it'll forget stuff too fast. And I think that becomes very difficult, especially, I mean, it's not like it's super easy for a tech person, but, it's a lot more tedious for sure. But it's going to be way harder for a non-technical person. And so from that perspective, the idea of these skills being able to be loaded in bit by bit, and you don't have to worry about this, creating these separate system prompts and setting up the servers and then managing like hierarchies of agents as much. You might still have to do some of that. But it probably is not quite as bad. That sounds like a real win in my book. And you can package these things up also in like folders and stuff, and you could distribute them in all sorts of ways. Like you could use a repository, like a code repository, or you could just stick it in your Google Drive. I mean, that's pretty cool. Like you could have it create the thing and then take your skill folder, zip it up, and then stick it in your Google Drive and then share it with everybody on your team. So That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I think I actually really like this idea of skills. I think this makes a lot of sense. It's really intuitive. Probably a lot more intuitive for a lot of people. So anyways, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I feel like this gave me a good sense of what these Claude skills are and the difference between some of the MCP servers, server tools, and the skills. And so I think there's a good use case probably for both of these things. I think over time, we might start seeing more, seeing a move more towards the skills for most stuff that's developed personally. And then for any kind of service, like any kind of business that's offering a service that's pre-built, they're probably going to have an MCP server or MCP tools that are set up that your AI can access. And that's probably going to be the division there. That's assuming that everybody goes on board with this idea of the skills. There's some other issues that you have to kind of take into account if you're doing the skills stuff, like how does it execute the code and security. Like you got to have an engine that can actually execute the code, and it needs to be secure and things like that. And I think the MCP servers right now, you can do some of that a little better in some ways. You have some more flexibility, at least with how you set up your MCP server. So I don't know. I think it's good. I think it's still a good thing to have, and probably a good middle ground for the majority of people, and probably going to be a lot faster for a lot of people to get something going. So I think that's going to be it for our main topic for the evening. Let me check to see if we've got any questions that are related to this that have come in, or any other questions that folks have about AI, about automation, anything of that nature. I'm not seeing anything here in our comments on YouTube or Facebook. So with that said, let's go ahead and go over to let's go ahead and do our giveaway. Now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see this live. Let's see here. Boom. Okay. So I've got Claude pulled up. I've got my own MCP tool that I developed using N8N to help me with my giveaways. So I actually am running my giveaway form that you guys saw the link to in the chat. That form is actually built out inside of Go High Level. And I created like this workflow in N8N. I could have programmed it manually, but I wanted folks inside of our AI Employee Club to have the opportunity to learn how to do these things themselves. Most people don't have a programming background. So visual workflows are typically the better way to go. So we went through and set up this workflow that essentially goes and gets the information from our entries in the form I Go High Level. It goes and gets those submissions. It makes sure that it's within the same within the time that we're doing our giveaway, and then it checks for the code, and it does all of this stuff, and then it randomizes our winner and then announces it here. So this is really cool. We finally got the bugs figured out, and so we're gonna go ahead and do this. I need to go ahead and give it our new code. So let's have it do this. Please select a new giveaway winner with the code. How about 5? Now, we are giving away up to 5 copies this evening of Alex Hormozi's new book, $100 Million Money Models. You have to pay for the shipping, but the rest of the book cost is completely covered. And so I hope you guys signed up. I've been giving away copies over the last couple weeks. I have more copies to give away. I really would love for somebody who wants to learn more about money models for their business, or maybe somebody who's getting started and want to learn about it for potential new business, to get a copy of this. So let's go ahead and see if we've got a winner for the evening. So it's going through, it's getting our giveaway winner. Okay, so it looks like nobody entered our giveaway for the day. And so we have no copies to give away to anybody, unfortunately. So what that means is next week, we're going to be giving away a total of not 5, but up to 6 copies. And so if you are here and you wish that you had won a copy, here's what I'm going to say. Come next week during our live giveaway time. Starts at 6 o'clock Central Time on Monday. And typically we go for about 30-ish minutes, maybe sometimes a little longer. Come, fill out the giveaway entry form, and bring your friends. If you think they could use a copy of this book for themselves, bring your friends so that they can also enter to get a copy. I'm giving away 6 of them. So again, that you have to pay for the shipping, but that's like $5. And so you're getting like a $30 book for $5. It is very worth it, very much worth it. I'm going through the book myself right now. I think it's fantastic. I love all of Alex Hormozi's stuff on the $100 million offers, the $100 million leads, and this new book, the $100 million money models. It's just fantastic. So if you want to win a copy, and you didn't get a chance to, maybe you came in late, come in next week and during the live session, enter into the form, bring a friend, and then you'll get a copy. Now, there is one other way that you can also get a copy. So if you want a guaranteed copy of $100 million money models, I'm giving away a total of 150 copies to the next 150 people who join our AI Employee Club. So the AI Employee Club is a private community that you can come into. You get a little bit more in-depth help. We take these live sessions and then we extend it out. So you can come in and you can get more nitty-gritty. I believe that system is also set up for you to even get like face-to-face with me, like to actually ask me more questions. Maybe you have something specific you want to get into in your business. And so that's kind of the place to do it. There's also a chat. We also include inside of that community any kind of like challenges or courses that we do. Like I have a separate course that teaches you how to set up AI phone receptionist for your business from scratch inside of Go High Level. We did that as a 1-day challenge, so you can learn how to do it in under 6 hours. The 2 people that came to that, they had no prior experience setting up these AI agents to answer the phone. So they were able to do it. They learned a ton. I actually have testimonials from them. If you want to see those, you can go to Narrowgator, NARROWGATOR, Narrowgator. We've got a Facebook page. I've got the testimonials there. It's also on Instagram. So if that's something that you want, you could go pay the one-time fee for the course, or you could get all of the ongoing help month to month, and get access to the course inside of the AI Employee Club. So I've gone ahead and posted that there in the chat on YouTube and Facebook if you want that. If you want just the standalone course, reach out to me. I can give you access. I can get you that course for that one-time fee if you so desire it. But I actually think that the AI Employee Club is a better alternative just because you can get ongoing help after you actually complete the course. You can get help in depth with your business. You can see things like what we did to set up that workflow for the giveaway bot. Like, it's just going to get better and better over time. We're going to add more and more resources. So anyways, if that's something that you want, join our AI Employee Club. Now, if you want, and again, I'm giving away a guaranteed copy of Alex Hormozi's book if you sign up to the next 150 people. And I'm going to cover the cost of the shipping on that too, by the way. So that's a nice little extra bonus for you. Now, if none of that interests you and you just want to join us for more live Q&As, you want a chance to win the free copies of Alex Hormozi's book, come on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central Time. We do it for about 30 minutes. And if you need a reminder, we send out email reminders. You can use that QR code there to be able to get those email reminders. I'll also go ahead and drop that link here inside of YouTube and Facebook if you'd like to see those coming into your inbox. Sometimes it's helpful, you just get busy and it's just nice to have a little reminder here and there. So, all right, y'all. Thank you guys for coming. I hope this was a valuable session for you, kind of going over some of the new features inside of Claude about the AI, the Claude skills and how they differ from the MCP server tools. So if you came in towards the end and you wanted to learn more about it, just go back and watch the live recording of this and you should be able to see everything. Always happy to answer questions if you just want to drop questions at a later time in the chat. I probably will get notified and see those. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and I'm going to head over to the AI Employee Club where we're going to iterate on our MCP tools to add some functionality that will hopefully actually add the winner of our giveaways directly inside of the chat on YouTube. I'm going to try to do it for Facebook too if we can. We'll see about that. It'll be interesting. So anyways, thank you guys again for coming. It was fantastic to be here with you. Hope you have a wonderful Monday evening. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.